Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time, you're welcome. This is Essential Patience and I Am Patience. In today's video, we are talking matriculating from college to adulthood and some things that you can be thinking about even if you're just starting college. Like, this is okay, but especially if you're in your last year of college and you are looking forward to starting your career, going into the field with a job, and how to think about your financial journey. So this list is comprised of things that I implemented that really helped me and things that I wish in hindsight that I had known that would have made things much easier. So if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and like this video. Let's get right into them. So number one is to minimize the debt you're accumulating during your college years, and you can do this many ways because it's not one way fits all. One thing you can do is to make sure that you get a very good financial aid package coming right into school. So this could be an academic scholarship, a full scholarship that covers your tuition, your fees, your rooms, your books, everything. You can also apply for outside scholarship to help your financial aid so you don't have to take out a lot of student loan debt. You can always get an extra job or some internships to really help you along the way. But there are several ways, and I have a whole video on how to go to school debt-free. That one is mostly dealing with scholarships and how to earn scholarship to make sure that you can go through college without taking out any debt. So check out that video. But you really want to minimize the amount of debt you're accumulating because this is the best time to do that. Because if you don't have any debt, then all your future earnings are yours and going towards your future. But if you have a ton of debt from undergrad, then you'll be paying for your undergrad whilst trying to live out your future. If you can anyway, minimize the amount of debt that you are taking out, especially if you're over borrowing. If you're getting refund from your college student loans, rethink it, because you're getting that now, but you're going to pay so much more for the amount of money you're taking out now. So make sure that you're calculating, and if you don't need to take out any student loans, tempting as it is, don't do it. If you need some, take out just what you need, and that's it. Number two is to partake in internships and part-time jobs, and this will help in your matriculation because you get used to the job environment and it will make it easier to get a job. A lot of time when you're in college and if you've never had a job, you would really not understand work culture till you get there. When you get a job, an internship, they understand that you're an intern, so it makes it much easier to ask questions and to really learn how to operate, especially if you're going to a corporate setting. And maybe your job is not in a corporate setting, maybe it's going to be in a plant setting or manufacturing facility. This will give you opportunities to learn what to do, what not to do, how to really get it. And if it is for you, then great. If it's not, pivot to somewhere else earlier than going into the field and having to do it. So that's the good things about taking on internships. But also it builds your work ethic. You get expectations. Unlike college where your professors can't really force you to do anything, in a job setting, I mean, they can't force you, but you can get fired. Your professor can't really kick you out of the class or may ask you to drop the class by force. I don't know any law against that or for that. In a job setting, it is at will employment. How long you stay at work. Some job expects you to stay there for a really long time. Some is 8 hours. And if you're not a person that have ever been in a job place where you can stay up without napping for 8 hours, this would be a good opportunity to start, right? Also, maybe getting up really early. Some people during college years, they don't wake up till 9 a.m. But when you're working, they expect you to be there 7:30. That's something you need to get used to. Having your energy, being present and thinking about what is going on. So making sure they have these opportunities that would give you a nice introduction into work culture, give you opportunities to earn money so your matriculation will be easier. But also just overall ask yourself, is this what I want? Is this what my future would and should look like? And only you can answer those questions. These opportunities will also give you income, and you will learn how to handle income. And with that, income goes into number 3, which is to start budgeting. And you don't have to be an expert in budgeting or have a history of budgeting to do a right budget. Start learning how to budget and to budget right for you. You want to start having that habit, having the foundation for that habit, because it will be really hard for you to now start earning much more money and to have no idea how to have handled money that is less. You start to find out what are your priorities in life, what are your goals, What do you want to save, or how do you want to save? Are you a person that just spends everything that comes in? You just need a budget to find out. Start a budget, start learning how to budget your low income, no matter how little. Have a budget, have goals, have expectations, and review your progress in that as well. Number 4 is to start learning about financial literacy. Whether you're freshman year, but especially if you're in your senior year, you're about to matriculate, make sure that you learn about financial literacy. It would keep you from making so many dumb mistakes that other people do. I can't thank God enough that I did not have to go through certain things to learn about them. But you know what they say, some of the best learning experiences is learning from other people's mistakes. So make sure that you don't have to experience something in order to be like, oh my God, like I know not to do this next time. You can learn it from other people. There are a lot of people on YouTube who have written books. There's so many platforms. You have access to so much free financial literacy education and information. And I even have a ton of videos. Most of my channel is about financial literacy and financial freedom. So making sure that you really consume that content to understand certain things, because I'm sharing what I learned and what I wish I had known. You are equipping yourself with that information, and you don't look back and have wasted a ton of money, because once that money is gone, it's gone. I mean, you always earn some in the future, God's willing, but it's something about looking back and not having many regrets. And one of those regrets, of course, is always when people look back and they're like, I wish I started saving for retirement earlier because of compound interest and how much less responsibilities I had then versus now. And I listen to those people, and I know to make sure that I start saving for retirement now and not wait till I am in my 40s and 50s to do so. Number 5 is to start building a good credit score if credit score is important to you. If you're a person that does not believe in credit cards or credit scores, that's all right. You can skip on to the next one. But if you're a person that would need to rent an apartment after graduating, a lot of times they check credit score. And if you don't have good credit score, then you need a guarantor, somebody to guarantee your rent. And do you have somebody like that in your life? Luckily for me, I started building my credit score when I was a junior in college. So by that time, I had 2 years of a good credit score. So I was able to get my apartment without needing anybody else's help. And I was able to sustain that and know that I'm a good person to rent to. But it's not just that. If you want to get a car and you're gonna need an auto loan, if you're gonna pay in cash, well, then that's different. But if you're gonna need an auto loan, if you're gonna need any type of other loans and even futurely mortgage, then that is something that you may need to consider. So if it's important to you and you feel like in the future you're gonna be using debt, start building your credit score. And I have a video on how to build credit score as a young person, as well as if credit card is evil or not evil. But check those out, and I think they'll be really helpful into making decisions as to how to build your credit score and maintain a good credit score. Number 6, preparing to go into the world, to get into a different chapter of your life. Start making goals, because sometimes when you wait to make goals when the time is near, you make rushed goals. You make goals that you've not really thought about, but you also looking at it from a different perspective, which is not always the worst thing, but sometimes you have clouded judgment at that moment. But right now, when you are hungrily pursuing that, make certain goals. And you don't have to stick to all those goals. What are your expectations for when you graduate? Or do you want to move across the state or to a different state? Maybe even internationally. Do you want to rent your own apartment and live alone? Or are you going to go back and live with your parents? Do you want to buy a new car, a house, have your own business? Have goals and make it a habit in your life to always have goals. For me, knowing that when I matriculate, you have to make your own goals. Nobody's going to force you to make goals. Nobody's going to force you to make resolutions and other things, but make sure that you make goals and you have something to work towards. So think about this stage in your life. Where do you see yourself going? Where do you see yourself being in the next few years? And really dream big, and don't feel like you need to stick to the same place. So dream big and start working towards them. And that leads into number 7, which is start saving towards those goals. So if you want to move across the state when you graduate, move to a different state, a different country, with what money are you going to do it with? What are the funds that you're going to make this move possible, because we can dream all we want, but in reality things come with action. And that's something that is very important. For example, if you're gonna move to a certain state and you know that rent is like $2,000 a month, but you're gonna need a security deposit and you're not gonna start working for another month or two before you get paid. So make sure that you have a plan with that. Are you going to start saving for that security deposit? Maybe you should. Maybe you should also save for first month's rent, maybe another month's rent. How are you going to get across there? Are you going to fly? How about furnishing the apartment? Most apartments don't come furnished. I mean, some do, not most. You want to save towards that because that is going to be an expense and it can be very pricey. Have those goals, put a price to it, and save towards it. If you are able to plan yourself this way, you wouldn't have to pass up on certain opportunities because you don't have the money, or put yourself into a situation where it's not the most ideal. If you want to move across the country, move somewhere else, explore different opportunities, save for them. But the most important thing on saving for this is how much it relieves stress. Because even though it was still expensive to furnish my apartments, having some money already there to go towards it made it so much easier than having to find money somewhere and just having a bed and a couch and having to work and hoping that I can make enough money and save enough money to buy my other furniture. Instead, I was able to come here. It was a joyous experience and it just made my living more comfortable. And number 6 is to always have an emergency fund. Even when you're in college, when you're matriculating, you don't know what's gonna happen. So always have an emergency fund. And let's say that hopefully nothing happens in college that makes you have to use your emergency fund and nothing else happens out of the ordinary when you're moving to a different state. Well, guess what? Now you have a ton of money to start your adult life emergency fund with. Whilst you're building your 3 to 6 month emergency fund, which I have a video on how to build an emergency fund, check that out. But you want to make it just easier. It'll be easier for you. You already like have $2,000, $3,000, maybe $5,000 towards your emergency fund. In no time, you'll be able to have a fully funded emergency fund. There is no losing in this. It's just a win-win situation. Number 9 is to make a sample budget for your cost of living and your expectations of how much it'll cost to live after you graduate and you move into your new life. So each job field has a range of payment. Amount you expect to be paid to a physicist, it may not be the same as you pay to a teacher or a psychologist. So what this allows you to do is that you research your expected salary and then you break it down as to how much is it going to cost to live there. So if I'm going to move to California, how much is my rent going to be? Probably like $3,000. How much is my food, utilities, transportation? You break it down as detailed as you want or as not detailed as you want. And what this does is very important because it gives you a good ballpark as to how much you need to live comfortably, or even just sometimes live, like just make it through. And when you start applying for jobs, so you start getting your job offers, this will give you a guideline as to how much to negotiate for. So you don't move to California $50,000 in salary and maybe a $10,000 bonus while you pass down on a job that was gonna pay you, say, $45,000 in Oklahoma City because the California one is more. Yeah, but the cost of living in California is almost double that of Oklahoma City. So you can do that for as many cities, states, country, town that you need, but always make sure that you break down your salary in the future and ask yourself, can I live on this salary? Sometimes you have no option but to accept it because that's your option now. But other times you might get different offers and see that even though this job isn't paying as much as that other job, you might realize that the reason is because one is in an affordable town in Texas and the other one is offering $10,000 more, but you're living in New York City. And you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? And that answer might be no. And number 10 on the adulting process from college to adult life is learning to live below your income. That's something I've had to learn for a long time. Don't just try to live within your income. You can try to live within your income when you're making much more money. But if you're making under a certain amount, especially, you don't want a situation where you have lifestyle inflation just comes and wipes out all your hard work and then you can't afford your standard of living. And definitely, above all, never live above your income. And with that, thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, because I post 2 videos a week. So ring the notification bell so you can get a notification on Tuesdays and Fridays. Come over and see what I'm talking about because it's going to be interesting. So thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.